Hello again, welcome to another entry in the TooFatLardies Advent Calendar 2022. I'm Nick and it falls to me to open the door on number 10. That will put me in some esteemed company this year, I can tell you. Yes, indeed, here I am at number 10 after Boris and Liz and Dishy Rishi. But opening number 10 on our Advent Calendar is slightly different. And maybe more fun than number 10 Downing Street. Anyway, what have we got today? Let's have a look. Open the tab. Undo Sydney's little seal again. And the question is this. What comes first in starting a wargaming project? Figures, movies, books, or something else? I think the thing that I would say comes before anything else, that absolute spark that is required, is a spark of inspiration. And the inspiration actually can come from all of those things. It can come from figures, it can come from movies, it can come from books, it can come from chance encounters, conversations, your eye falling on a historical information board when you're standing at a local castle, looking at a display in a museum. The more you take in through your senses, the more you are likely to find something that will inspire you in whatever form it may be. I know that movies and television, can inspire and does inspire. You've only got to look at the BBC's dramatisation of the SAS Rogue Heroes programme to see how that's inspired people to think about Long Range Desert Group and SAS Wargaming. Look at Band of Brothers as a TV show and ask yourself, how does that sit in my inspirations if I'm a World War II wargamer? Look at some of the great films of all time. Look at how they influence us. Look at some of the great books that we might read and TV series. How many people playing Sharp Practice have been inspired by the Sharp television programs or the Bernard Cornwell books, for instance. Hornblower. What could be more inspiring than daring do on the ocean wave with Horatio Hornblower and colleagues? So something that spurs your imagination is the trigger. Artwork, photographs, something that makes you say in your mind's eye, imagine that. Imagine what that might look like on the table. Imagine that as a war game. So these inspirations, you turn them into something real, don't you? The inspiration is followed by a process of what I call perspiration. This is when you take the spark and you look into it in more detail. You analyse it. You try to find the story behind the headline. You want to know more about these people that were the SAS Rogue Heroes, or the guys who were in Band of Brothers, 101st Airborne. Who were they? What did they do? Where did they fight? And this is the bit that's probably going to lead you into the world of literature. Many people will research, I know, on YouTube. But if you're researching a new period or looking into something from a historical perspective, you're going to end up in the world of books. You're going to end up building a library that's going to back your inspiration. And when I look at my own library now, I look at the inspirations behind it, and I see that they're many and varied. But I do see that books are the theme that connect the inspiration to the outcome. They are separating the fiction of the inspiration to the reality of the topic. And then you combine that, of course, with something like walking the ground. And that walking the ground allows you to put ideas into perspective and allows you to focus. You're moving away from your inspiration into the field where you're actually turning your dream, your idea, your spark into something on the tabletop. And that means you're going to be focused. You're going to have moved on a bit from your inspiration. It may be that whatever you end up delivering on the tabletop has moved on from your first inspiration. What you thought was the case when you first looked at this topic actually turns into be something slightly different once you've unravelled the truth behind the fiction. Because, of course, when we're watching things on television, they're generally presented with a high fictional content, and our research allows us to move beyond the fiction and get into the actual experience and the actual storyline that the history tells us. And fascinating though that narrative is, our ability to turn that into something on the tabletop becomes really very important. So, there's more to the topic than meets the eye. So actually we would have gone from something quite simple to something that, after we've done the research, actually might look really complicated. It's probably much bigger than you thought it would be. So you need to focus. We need to focus, don't we? Beyond that first start, the inspiration that came from a movie, the inspiration that came from the figures, the inspiration that we found from that book, and ask ourselves, what holds the greatest fascination for me out of this research that I've done, and I'm now more knowledgeable about the history of this topic. Where is the fascination? What do I want to bring to the tabletop? What are the command challenges that might face with this? And what, of course, is practical? Now, I've always struggled with this bit because I've quite often started new periods, before even figures were available to do it, because the energy that comes often with that quest for something new means that actually not everything is there ready for you. And I quite like that challenge. I really quite like the idea that we're creating something really from new. Of course, as long as we don't have to scratch build anything, we'll be fine. So inspiration, many places. I look around my social media account, I look on Twitter, I look at what other people are doing. It's impossible to spend half an hour on social media without being inspired by something that somebody is doing somewhere. And the wide world of wargaming, this broad church, as we call it, continues to lay things before us that will inspire us. And so why would we want to stop that? Let's keep those inspirations coming. As we go into the new year, let's keep sharing what we're doing on social media. Let's keep sharing our gaming story through Discord chat rooms and by sharing photos of our games. Let's keep that inspiration going. Create the energy that burns the hobby forward and that keeps our figure painting tables filled with little paint jobs and fills our wargaming tables with fun and great games.